Hey everybody, good morning. Well, good afternoon. It's 12 o'clock. And happy Wednesday, happy hump day. We are here. We are in the middle of the week. We're at the halfway point of GW 2022. And I am so excited of all of the great things that are happening here in Texas, around North Texas, specifically here in the DeSoto area, and some of the great information that is being shared and the great events that are being put on. So, I would be remiss if we did not start today's Entrepreneurs Corner by acknowledging a couple of people. So we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna have our countdown, and then we're gonna come back. I'm gonna do a couple of sponsor thank yous, a couple of shout outs, and then we are gonna bring our guest into the studio today. Because remember, today we're gonna be talking about developing a growth strategy, a financial growth strategy. So let's kick this thing off. All right, so welcome back. Like I said, before we go jump in today, we're gonna thank and acknowledge a couple of people. So I have to thank the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce and the CEO and President, Miss Vanessa Sterling. The DeSoto Chamber has been doing a lot of great work behind the scenes and in the community in the Best Southwest Partnership. So, if you're watching this and you are in the Dallas area, you know the Best Southwest Partnership are all of our bottom cities in Dallas County. So, we go as far east, I believe that's east, as Balch Springs, and we come all the way down and we stop in Duncanville. So, it consists of about 8 to 10 cities that all come together and they are working collaboratively to build up the economic development structure in these communities. Well, President and CEO Sterling has been on the ground and partnering with companies like mine to make sure that members have the resources and the things that are needed. So if you have not joined a chamber. It doesn't have to necessarily be the DeSoto Chamber. It would behoove you to join the DeSoto Chamber. But if you have not joined a chamber to help grow your business, reach out to me. I have worked with a lot of chambers here across the DFW Metroplex. And one thing I can tell you is that we don't have a lot of bad ones. You will always have bad apples mixed in. But for the most part, all of our chambers are about their business and about the business of their members. And that is one of the things that sets North Texas apart from other regions across the US. Go, as people say, go Google us. It's the reason why a lot of corporate offices are moving here. The reason why we are getting a lot of transplant people is because this is a space where you can start grow and scale companies, you can start grow and scale your vision, and you can get into an atmosphere that is about economic development and empowerment. So thank you to the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce. Thank you to the CEO, President Sterling, to the chair, Ms. Karen Bishop, who is very supportive of all the things that we have going on and that we're doing. I would also like to thank Mr. Alex Bird, who was here with us yesterday talking about the purpose of wealth with Robert Financial Solutions. If you did not get an opportunity yesterday to grab his contact information, please check out the comments on both Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. his information is in there. That way you can reach out to him and you can schedule some time to get on his calendar. Remember last month we had Dr. Kevin Walker with CFPI Financial Solutions. He was here and he talked to us about the purpose of wealth, but he talked to us about individual purpose of wealth. Okay, so when you have your individual funding, your paycheck, what you're paying yourself out of your business, how to set up a budget, how to do all of those things. And then Alex came yesterday and he talked to you about some of the tools, some of the strategies that you can use in behind what the purpose of wealth is. We are not done. This has been very intentional. When we set out to design the programs, we were very intentional to talk about money. And we are talking about wealth, whether you like the word wealth, riches, finances, capital. That is what this week for us has been about, and then what it's going to continue to be about is about giving you tools and resources to help you grow. Now, we have two dynamic people that are about to come into the studio, and I cannot say enough great things about this husband and wife duo. I was blessed to work with the wife a couple of years back, and she helped me out tremendously with personal credit. And this is my first time actually getting to interact with her husband. So I'm very excited to have both of them join us here in the Entrepreneurs Corner for GEW 2022. So I would like to present to some and introduce to others, Mr. and Mrs. Robert and Cassina Sheets. Hello, hello. Oh, and look, Robert then took us to the beach, y'all. He must know my love language is some water, and I likes to be near. See, look, y'all.
That is part of the vision board. We are making our way to the Maldives at some point.
Yes.
So that's what that's all about. We want to keep it out in front of us so that we can make sure there's always front of mind so we can get there.
Okay, so if y'all didn't catch that, Robert said something the vision board. You must keep it in front. You have to have your vision in front of you. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Because what do we have Friday night? It is our vision board and business planning party. So come with your pictures of your ideal vacation spot. And Robert and Cassina gonna tell us how we're gonna be able to afford to get there at some point. I need them. Mine is a yacht, so I need them to educate me on how I'm gonna buy and be able to maintain my yacht with my whole staff. You know, because I don't know how to drive it myself, so somebody gonna have to drive me all up and down the French coast. It can't be me. So I am big on letting people introduce themselves and talk about what they do. So I am going to punt this on over to you all to introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about your companies and what you all have going on.
I'll let Mr. Sheets go first.
Oh, you go first. The man goes first instead of the woman. Okay. All right. Well, that's what you want, darling. My name is Robert Sheets. I am a financial representative with a company called Modern Woodmen of America. Modern Woodmen has been around since 1883. Started off as woodmen, men out in the woods that were chopping trees and preparing things on the East Coast, and they started to get hurt, and some started to die as a result of the work that they were doing. And the company decided, just like the railroad did, that there was a need for benefits and that type of thing. And so they started with some very light benefits, and then also went to life insurance. The company morphed into a life insurance company. And then in 2002, we added securities to the business. And so life insurance, investments, and securities, like I say, since 1883. I have been with the company about 3 years. This is my third career. Praise the Lord. I retired from the state of Oklahoma. I ran a shelter for abuse and neglect, and moved to Texas in 1999 and worked for Texas Instruments, and retired from Texas Instruments as an operations manager there. And looking for some new opportunities and was able to gain a new opportunity as a financial representative, like I say, with Modern Women of America. Great company. I had plenty of opportunity to go a number of different places, but I love what Woodman stands for. Woodman is what's called a fraternal financial organization. And basically what that means is, number one, I'm a fiduciary. And so that fiduciary responsibility means that I have to tell the truth. Otherwise, I can get in trouble, lose my licenses and all that kind of stuff. So we are a fiduciary company, but we're also a company that's all about the community. And so I have sales goals, but I also have goals to give away money. Woodman gave about $56 million into scholarships, school scholarships, and also into nonprofits last year. So great company to be a part of. I'm thankful and grateful that I am a part of the company, and look forward to what the future holds for not only me, but for the company and for those people that I come in contact with.
Awesome. That is amazing. So I have a question. I'm going to wait till we get to the question part, but remember
Okay.
that word fiduciary.
Okay.
Because 3 questions came to my mind when I heard it and then you explained it. And I'm quite sure other people have probably thought it. But y'all know me. I'm going to be the one that's going to ask the questions, because everybody else be like,
Right.
oh, I don't want to. I'm embarrassed. I ask them because I'm like, explain that to me.
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Sheets, how about you?
So first, Jeanette, I appreciate you allowing us to come on and share and educate individuals and business owners to help them move forward. So I appreciate this great opportunity. My name is Cassina Sheets. I am the co-owner of Back Office Credit Solutions, where we specialize in helping business owners secure funding, whether that is traditional or the unconventional way of accessing capital. We also help our business owners build business credit, where they are able to leverage different types of capital without impacting their personal credit score or their personal side in most cases. My background, I was a wealth management banker and business lender for about 16 and a half years. So I've dealt with the masses of people. I was a portfolio manager overseeing the affluent and high net worth market initially for the first 12 years of my banking career, where I managed the credit, investments, and deposits for the financial institution. And then I went over to the retail side, where I helped with the business and commercial lending and financial literacy, and helping the masses of people with identifying and educating them on how to use money, how money works, to put it in layman's terms. But so today, I hope that whatever the information that we have readily available to share will help someone as they move forward in entrepreneurship and business ownership.
Awesome. So yes, we are all about education. So this entire series, because I know you and I had spoke about this. This is the financial growth strategy. So when we think about when we want to grow our finances. So let me let everyone understand who's watching, who will tune in later on. This is not a QuickBooks 101. This is not an accounting 101. That's not what this is. This is, you understand all of those pieces, and now you're wanting to take it a little bit further. You want to understand business insurance. Now, you all know I watch my mouth very closely on everything that I say, but when we talk about insurance, I have a really good friend. And I will clean it up a whole lot from what he say. But he say to do business without business insurance is to be getting your groove on with no rubber and then be like, oops, how she get pregnant?
I've never heard of that.
He say, so now, if that's how you want to live and do your business, then that's your business. But it is not wise. So at some point, all of us have to understand, I'm a consultant. but I have insurance on my business. Because I will be honest with you. I understand I understand that we live in a world where people unfortunately look for any reason to sue anybody. So as a consultant, and I am giving you my intellectual property, you can always come back and be like, your intellectual property was wrong. Well, was it, or did you just apply it wrong? But that's a whole nother tangent. So Robert is going to educate us on some of this insurance stuff and understanding what that should look like in your business. Casina is the credit. Y'all, when I tell y'all she's phenomenal with that credit thing right now. It's only one other person I put on that same level as her. Just one other, but them two. She has it. She knows that part. But then also understanding when you are ready to actually go after business credit, what the banks are looking for. Because again, this is not QuickBooks, this is not accounting. What the banks are looking for when you are actually looking to get a bank loan to grow or to scale. So this is going to be a little different. I am truly just here as their navigator. I'm going to throw them a couple of questions as they come in, but this is their show today, and I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to let y'all start this presentation however y'all see fit.
All right.
Y'all.
Well, I know that one of the main questions that I get consistently is, how do I become bankable? I've gone to the bank, they've turned me down. Most of the times I don't know why. If it's not, credit score driven, if it is credit score driven, well, what score do I need to have? You can't answer that question, right? In most cases. Across the board benchmark above 700. Well, are there lenders that will allow me to get access capital below a 700? Yes, it is. But a few things that I want to share about what makes you bankable and how lenders look at your business. The first one, if I can just name them really quickly, everyone has heard of it. Well, most people have heard of the 5 C's. Sometimes there are 6 C's. And when you go to the bank, number one, I will always tell people to have a plan with you, have a business plan. It does not need to be 20, 25, 35 pages. It can be 1 to 3 pages, as long as you have the nuts and bolts. Because as a lender, what I would look at is the financials, the projections. I didn't really have an opportunity to go through your entire plan. I wish I did have the opportunity, but I didn't. I wanted to see if the numbers made sense. And most people would come in and say, no, I don't have a business plan, but I know exactly what I need. I need $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. Well, how are you going to spend it? Well, I'm thinking I might do a little bit of marketing. I think so there wasn't really a concrete plan. And if you're kind of straddling on the fence, that doesn't make me as a lender feel comfortable in, being your advocate for the powers that be.
Right. You don't have any clear direction. You don't have any clear direction on what you want to do, right?
Right. I need to be strong when I'm going in for you. And so the few things that I would share, again, the business plan, making sure you have some collateral. What does collateral mean? Having something that the bank can use as a recourse. In the event something doesn't go as well as you hope, that's something that something tangible that they can use and perhaps resell. It's another source of repayment, if you will.
What are some of the things, Casina, that the bank will use for collateral? That I could use when I come looking, because I need a loan. Right?
So there are some people who might have, primary residence. And what I mean by that is a home equity. Sometimes you can leverage your home to get a line of credit to help with extending capital to your own business. If you have investment property, if you have equipment, cash, those sorts of things are what the bank's looking for as collateral. Some banks will use kind of like a blanket loan where they just look at all of your assets in your business and they'll use that somewhat as collateral. Then there's the capacity. Can you take on this debt? Do you have the ability to repay this debt with the revenue, the business revenue that you're receiving, right? Most times banks will look at, not most, but traditional banks will look at what's called the debt to income, otherwise known as a DTI. And the way to really calculate that, most people don't understand how it's calculated. You take your monthly obligations and you divide that by your monthly gross income. And what that percentage gives you is a number. It's a back end DTI ratio. And so banks look at that and they say, okay, I don't want you to go beyond 30% or 36%. Some of them might go a little further. Now, this does not include all the ancillary things when it comes to their home. That's why they keep it at a 30%, because they know that there's other debt that you're going to pay, your light bill, your gas, things like that. And then they look at the conditions. How's the economy going, right? Are you looking at purchasing a piece of property in a declining area, or is it revitalizing itself? Right. So they'll look at that because, again, the bank is risk averse. They do not want to lend where they feel like they're going to lose money. The competition, they'll look at your industry type. Do you have a lot of competition? Is the industry something that we can stand behind? I will bring up the cannabis and the marijuana. A lot of people are going through to these distilleries and getting those. Now, there are lenders that will do that, but the traditional banks will not touch that because, again, it's a state given right and it's not federally legal to have that business. I'm talking medicinal marijuana. I'm not talking about recreational marijuana. So, and then there's a character, the big one, the credit. So character is as though you're going, I'm meeting your fiance's parents for the first time. You always want to put your good foot forward, right? And show that you are able to take care of your fiance. You're going to go in, your hair physically, your hair is going to look good. You're going to go in with a suit, nice starched. You're going to be well groomed. Well, the banks, when they look at that, and I'm just kind of paralleling that together, but all they have to determine your character is on a piece of paper in the form of a credit report, right? So that's your first foot forward. There, you're looking at that, and I would look at it and I would say, okay, let's see how you're making your payments. Are there late pays? Do you have judgments? You've got a lien here. Or is it clean where you've made all your payments on time? Now, remember, if you cannot take care of your personal household, why would the banks allow you to, why would they want to give you their money when you can't take care of home? So they look at that. It also goes into your educational background. Do you have, some sort of know-how in that industry? And then there's the capital. Do you have skin in the game? You often hear. Do you have a down payment, in other words, to put in on this particular loan request? And so I like to share that with people because I want people hear it all the time, but it really, when they come to me for loans, they don't have, 2 of the 5 or 6 areas. And the 2 most important, one may be the down payment. So I'll just start with that. I'll stop because I can talk on that forever. But just knowing that's what they look for. You're invest in your business, and that goes into that business credit we'll talk about a little later. But Robert, I'll turn it over to you. I could go down this path, but Robert has some. I'll let him go over how he's able to.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Janae had mentioned earlier, she talked just a little bit about business, what kind of business insurance and that type of stuff do you need? And I want to focus first on personal, which is kind of a segue from what Cassina was saying. When you're dealing with banks, when you're dealing with other businesses, when you're dealing with people who you're telling people that you're professional, and you're telling people that they can trust you, they can trust your business, then you need to have your ducks in a row. And in my mind, that involves and entails you taking care of yourself first. One of the things that I like to always tell people is that you need some life insurance for yourself, some personal life insurance. And let me tell you why that's important. It doesn't matter how good your business plan is. It doesn't matter how good your financial plan is for your family. If something happens to you or happens to your spouse, that plan is gone. That plan is gone, right? And so you need to start with, if your goal is to build wealth, if your goal is to set yourself up financially, your family financially, the first and most important thing that you need is you need some life insurance. There's more than one type of life insurance. There's term life insurance, which is insurance for a term, for a certain amount of time, generally 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, or 30 years, right? That's term insurance. Whole life insurance is insurance for the whole of your life. It's insurance that's going to last all of your life. Now, a lot of the big wigs, Dave Ramsey, Susie Orman, they tell you never buy whole life insurance. Well, that it's hard to make a blanket statement that's going to be good for everybody, right? And that's what they do when they make those statements. One of the issues that people have with term life insurance, you can't borrow against it, right? And it expires. So those are two things that are critical right there. You can build some wealth over time. It takes time because life insurance is it's not really a financial building to a certain degree type of thing. But life insurance companies never lose money. When was the last time you heard of a life insurance company going under? They don't go under. So life insurance isn't a vehicle that's going to make you a whole lot of money, but it's going to save you a whole lot of money, and it's never going to lose you any money, right? And so here's an example. Back in the day, when interest rates were really, really high, kind of like they're headed toward now, you couldn't go to the. I'm almost 60 years old, so I've been around, and so I've seen these high interest rates or whatever. Everybody's comfortable now with these 2% and 3% interest rates, but back in the day, there was no such thing. But anyway, you couldn't go to the bank and get a personal loan or a car loan back in the day in the 90s or whatever for anything less than 10, 12%, right? And so what I would do when I needed to buy a car, I would leverage my whole life insurance. I could take out $20,000, $25,000 to go buy a car, and I'm taking that money out at 3% interest versus the 10 or 12% interest that you could get at the banks. And so what a lot of wealthy people do is they put millions of dollars into whole life insurance. They leave it there. It's always going to make some money over time, but it's never going to lose any money. And everything you do is tax-free or tax-deferred as it relates to life insurance, right? So imagine having a $50,000 inheritance that somebody in the family gave you or whatever. Well, guess what? If you put it in life insurance, there's no inheritance tax. You drop that money there, you leave it there. It's going to build a little bit of money over time, over the years. It's going to secure a life insurance product for you in the event that you pass away. Your beneficiaries can take advantage of that. So there's just so many different things that you can do. But what I want to focus on first and most importantly is the fact that if something happens to you, what are you leaving behind for your family, right? Generally, what we've seen is just a bunch of debt. But if you've got life insurance, whether it's whole life or term life insurance, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you and your wife, you and your husband, let's say you've got $150,000, $175,000 worth of debt, right? Cars and whatever else. And then let's say you got a $500,000 mortgage, okay? And let's say you got 2 or 3 kids that you want to try to send to school. So if you pass away, then what does that do to that goal and to that budget? They said, well, the house is worth a lot of money. My wife could sell a house. Well, what if she didn't want to sell a house? Why would you force your wife and your children to sell the house? Why not get enough life insurance that when you pass away, all debt is paid off, the mortgage is paid off, there's enough money for the kids to go to school on, and your wife gets your salary for the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever you decide. That's the way to ensure that you do what you need to do for your family moving forward. life insurance. So life insurance is critical, very, very important. And then let's talk, just go ahead.
No, I have a question and I put it in the chat.
Okay.
It has always been a question that I have heard a lot. And it was a question that I used to ask until I was educated. So I want you to do the educating on it.
Okay.
Why
Okay.
not just rely on the insurance that is through my spouse's job or through a company that I work for?
Okay. Great question. Great question. Hear it all the time. I want to encourage you to rely on that insurance in your spouse's company because number one, it's a group plan and it's going to be inexpensive. But
Okay.
here's the problem with that. If that's all you have, what if your spouse gets laid off? Now you don't have any life insurance. Let me give you an example. You and your husband get married at 25, right? He stays at the company 20 years. You guys keep the life insurance that you have there at the company. He gets this gets laid off or retires or gets fired, whatever the case may be, at 45. Okay, well now you've got to go try to get some life insurance at age 45. Maybe now you got high blood pressure. Maybe now you're 20, 30, 40 pounds overweight, right? And so your premiums are higher, or maybe you're diabetic. Maybe you've got some serious situations where you can't even get life insurance. You want to get life insurance outside of work because it will follow you. It's convertible. It'll follow you all of your life. Whereas any policy with any company is going to be a term policy. And the end of that term is when you get laid off, when you get fired, or when you quit. So you always want to have life insurance through your company. Why not? Because it's inexpensive. But you also want to have some outside. I honestly don't even like to count what I have at work. I call that gravy, right? I want to build a plan outside of work because as we're building this financial wealth and as we're listening to what Cassina says and as we're doing the things that we need to do, we're going to be financially independent anyway, and we're not going to be focused on what we get from our job, from work, right? We're building a business. We're building our own financial institutions. And so as a result, we need something outside of work in order to be convertible that we can take with us everywhere we go. So,
okay, so he said it kind of quickly, and I don't even think he realized it was a nugget, but he just gave a nugget.
Did I drop a nugget?
You dropped a nugget and you missed it. So I'm going to pick it up for you.
Okay.
He said it. Any insurance policy that you have with a company or a job is a term policy because it ends when your time at that company ends.
Yep. Yep.
So they can tell you his whole life all day, but it has a term date on it.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
It's going to end when you are no longer at that company.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Let me share something else with you, Janae, that a lot of people don't know. Let's say you're at work, right? You've got life insurance through work. And let's say you get hurt. Okay. Well, most companies offer long-term care or short-term care disability, right?
Okay.
So if you are at work and you get hurt and you're on disability, then you actually don't even work for the company that you're working for. You're actually being paid by the federal government. And so if that is the case, then you don't have life insurance. So when you're on disability,
wait, Robert, are you telling me if I get hurt at work, okay, and I am on short-term disability, and let's just say, God forbid, this injury winds up ending my life. How does that?
In most cases, on most jobs, you do not have life insurance when you are on short or long-term disability. Check with your own individual company, but I can guarantee you in most cases, when you're on disability, you don't have life insurance.
But here's the other thing too, Robert. My husband has, he was with one company for a long period of time, and now he's with a new company. I know he had insurance with both. I know we have life insurance with this new one, but I can tell you we didn't read the policy because when you were onboarded and they put you in that portal, think about it, y'all. We're in that portal and you've been sitting there for 15 minutes, digitally signing stuff, clicking stuff. No one has sat down with you and truly told you what you're getting, how many of us have even really read our insurance policy to
Right.
understand if that is the case?
And even if you have read it, do you understand the insurance
No,
lingo?
you don't. You don't.
So you need an insurance professional to help you with understanding what it is that you have. Let me give you a classic example of something that happens in a lot of companies, whether it be your company, that you're physically working for, or some of the companies that are outside. When with a whole lot of companies, when you get life insurance, if you have a claim, if you die within the first 2 years, a whole lot of the life insurance companies will only pay your premiums that you've paid up to that point, to the point of death. They won't pay you that face amount. So let's say $100,000 life insurance policy, right? That you get through work or you get outside of work. If you don't know what you're doing, if you've not read the fine print, if you've not understood the lingo and the language, you can be connected with a policy that, like I say, you die within the first 2 years. You don't get that $100,000 face value. You get only the premiums that you've paid between the time that you started life insurance and the time that you die. A lot of companies do that. Over 70% of the companies do that. Okay. They either will give you only the premium, and there are some companies, about 40% of the companies out there, that won't give you anything because you die within the first 2 years. So these are all things, Janae, that you just pointed out, right? You said that we just sit down and we just sign. We don't know what we're getting. You need a life insurance professional to review a policy for you, to let you know exactly what you have, what you don't have, let you know what's good and what's not good, because you can be signing up for something and have no clue what you're signing up for.
Okay, we're gonna tee it back over to Casina for a minute there, but I don't want y'all to miss. If y'all don't take anything else away from today, anyone who comes across this, print your policy out, go into that portal. As someone, and I'm gonna say this, and Robert will talk offline about it because you're gonna do like most people and ask. As someone who has sat for the Texas insurance exam and passed it, so technically licensed insurance, whatever, never wrote one policy.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you that even I don't understand everything that's in the policy.
Right.
I will call a Robert or somebody to say, hey, this is what my company is giving me. Can you come and read through this? So if you don't do anything else, print your policy out. Reach out
what you have.
Reach out and say, hey, Mr. Robert, can I schedule a consultation with you? Let me show you what I have at my job, so then you can help me know what I should be getting outside of that.
Absolutely.
All right. So Miss Casina, we know we got to have some insurance. How we gonna pay for it?
Exactly. Well, that's a great segue. See, I need to get better at that, segueing over. So, one of the things that, Robert and I, we had a conversation. We had a client. He actually had a client. Most of the time we work in tandem, just to make sure our clients are covered on both ends. And I had a client who was very heavily leveraged on the personal side. And a lot of the personal debt he had was for the business. And so one of the ways that business owners can prevent that from happening is maybe refinancing that personal debt onto the business side. Right.
Okay.
And, one of the things that Robert had mentioned not too long ago, and I'll come back to this, is he had a client who needed some, was looking at getting some insurance, and he, it was, it may be a payment issue. It might be something that they may, need, but don't have the financial means to move forward with that. But what we do is we look to see what's happening on the budget, on the personal budget. What are some things that we can look at? Are we able to review the auto insurance? Are we able to review your electricity bill? Are we able to review some of those ancillary home services that you have right now to see if we can get it at a lower rate. And then whatever money that is saved, now you can utilize that to get the insurances that you need to help you. And so doing that on the business side, we look at someone may have purchased a truck on the personal debt. Now they're trying to purchase a home and they can't because now they're over leveraged. Their debt to income is all out of whack. So we look at ways to see how we can move those obligations over to the business side. And so business credit, I'll talk about business credit really quickly. So business credit really, in a nutshell, is the company's ability to repay. Not pay now, but maybe later. And so, for instance, we've all heard of net 30s, net 60s, net 90s. And all that means is I'm going to allow you to have this money or this product or service, and you pay me in 30, 60, or 90 days, right? So it's all about the credit lines. And business credit is one of the phenomenal ways that you can access those trade lines. It could be at merchants that you already are shopping at, but you're paying cash, right? You can Office Depot, for instance. It might be, if you're in construction, it might be Lowe's. So what I'm sharing with people is to get the money, look at your industry, look at where you're currently paying for things that you need to take your business to the next level. Those monthly obligations, you may have a contract at whatever that might look like. And so what we do is we look at ways to see if we can get you a credit line to get the things that you need. Once your revenue starts coming in, then you can pay for those items, and thus reporting to the personal credit. To the business credit. My apologies. Hold on. I am so sorry. Something's popping up on my screen. So, what I really want to hone in on is when you're looking at your personal credit report, right? You're looking at that debt, the monthly obligations that you have, and seeing what can be moved over to the business side, right? You may be making quite a bit of revenue. You've gone to the bank and they're saying, you know what, your credit score is still not good enough, even though you're showing revenue month after month. I'm making $300,000 a year. Why is it that you can't give me a loan? Well, because it's in a box. But there are those lenders through your business credit that will allow you to get that loan or that line of credit where you can move and transfer from personal to the business side. Does that make sense?
It does. So when we're looking at and I'll say this, Christina, you've worked with me. I am A-okay with being the example. My husband told me one day, he said, all our business going to be in the street fooling around with you because you always use yourself as an example. I walk it like I talk it, y'all. I try to, at least. So how do I know when I should refinance my business credit to remove it from my personal credit? So how are you able to gauge that? What would that look like?
It's a great question. So just to clarify, you're asking, how do you know if you have enough revenue to be able to transfer the business debt that's currently housed on your personal credit report onto the business side?
Yes.
So there are a few things to look at. Most lenders will look at what's called the debt service. It's a global. They'll look at what you owe on the personal side, what you owe on the business side, and see if you have the ability to repay. Right. So it's all about the revenue. Now, I have some lenders that will allow you, for every dollar that I lend you, I want you to be able to pocket a quarter. It's a 1.25 ratio, right? So they want to make sure that you have enough. And so really, when you're looking at that $400 equipment loan per month, you're looking at all of the debt, the monthly debt that you have on your business side. And it's really saying, can I afford, do I have the ability, from a lender's perspective, to be able to refinance that on the business side? In most cases, if you're generating revenue, absolutely. Because the one thing that I'll share with people is with business credit, lenders are looking at different verifiers to determine whether or not they're going to approve or deny your loan request, right? So there are a few factors. The one thing, and it goes back into compliance, revenue is always going to be first. They're always going to look at your revenue to see how much you're making. And you want to make anywhere between a minimum of $5,000 and $10,000 a month in revenue. This is revenue. This is not net. So this is before anything is being paid out. Okay, so we look at that. And then lenders are going to look at, okay, well, I know you've been in business for a year, let's say, or 2, 3, whatever that might look like. Let's see how much you've invested in your business. Again, they want to determine whether or not you're credit worthy. If you haven't done anything to invest in your business from a compliance standpoint, chances are they're probably not going to feel comfortable and confident enough to allow you to obtain a loan. And what do I mean by compliance? It's almost like, have you put skin in the game? Do you have a business bank account? Most people say, yes, I've got my business bank account. I've had it for a long time. But when you look at it, I'm seeing all the personal stuff. You've gone to
you're co-mingling. You're
gone to Nike. You've gone, you're going out to eat. All these different things. You're paying your home utility bill out of that, and so okay, so you have a business account, but you're not using it for business purposes. You're co-mingling. That doesn't make me feel comfortable. Right. Have you dedicated and created a personal email? A lot of people are kind of back and forth with the emails, saying, I've gotten loans with a Gmail account. Yes, it's traditional. I mean, sometimes you can get it through. If everything else aligns, then you can. But at some point, even from a credibility standpoint, even when I deal with businesses, if I see that you're still using a Yahoo or a Gmail, I'm like,
are you really a business?
Are you really a business?
Yeah.
So, Christina, you said something, and I'm almost 100% certain you're the one who taught me this. I used to office out of my home, and Christina told it was you. You were like, how much are you putting out of the business to cover your electricity and to cover your internet? She said, invoice yourself for that and pay that invoice from your company. So every month, my husband would create me an invoice. He'd look at the electricity bill and say, okay, this percentage of it. And it was the same percent every month because consistency matters. But this was the set percentage. It was like 15%. That because you're here all day working, this is your percent of the internet. If you were in an office building, that's what triple net is when you lease out your office space. That's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. But when you do your office space, utilities like water and electricity are included. So if you have a home office, invoice your company every month for that, and then pay that invoice to go into your other bank account. But then when you're audited or when you get your taxes done, you can say, this is how much I pay for my home office. Right. Don't just go and pay your electricity bill off your business account.
Right. Absolutely. Now, you can, if you're in an office space, you can, because that's all going there. But the IRS, and I will disclose this, please consult your CPA or your accountant. But depending upon how large your house is, where you're doing your work, what square footage you're in, that's the calculation you use as a percentage from what I've always known. But again, and it changes. That's so important to connect with a CPA or an accountant because they're up on the codes or know what's changing. And so, but absolutely, anytime that you're paying yourself, depending upon how your business is structured, first and foremost, you want to, whether that's through, if you're paying yourself as an employee, W-2, pass through income, whatever that looks like, I would say make sure that you have someone who's up on the IRS codes and regulation, because you might be missing out on something. A lot of people don't even know who have W-2 employees about the employee tax, the retention credit.
Right.
That is money they're giving away. It's not a loan. You don't need to ask for forgiveness. It is there for you to take up to, $26,000 per employee. And I mean, people are capitalized. And why wouldn't you? If you have employees that you've maintained over the pandemic, you have money available. And I've been helping clients through and walking through that process. But I digress. But I would say connect with your accountant. Now, one thing I will also say is, when I was assisting people with the Paycheck Protection, the PPP, and the EDIL, most of the people who were unable to get funding or get any type of concession was because of their financials. Their financials were not in order. They were all over the place. They weren't able to be verified. The Secretary of State had one address. They were using another address. It was so many different things that were preventing people, and it was such a simple process once you followed. It outlined it.
Let me say this, Christina. I hate to cut you off, but I want to say this. I think this is one of the things that I love about your business and about what you do. Right? People feel like, hey, I make the best steak in the neighborhood. Let me go and create a steak joint. You know what I mean? But One of the things that I love about your business is the fact that you are helping people understand that there's a whole lot more to a business than just cooking a steak, right? And I love the fact that you're helping people understand how to be compliant with their business, how to know what the banks are looking for when they want to go and get a loan. And people say, well, you know what, I don't need a loan. Well, yes, you do. You need a loan because you can't cook the steak, you can't take the order, and you can't, do the bookkeeping. You can't do all of the stuff. And so you need some help, right? Yes, you cook a great steak, but what you should be doing is cooking steak and allowing other people to do some of the other things. And I love the fact that I've seen you help people become compliant, to understand what Dun & Bradstreet expects as a business owner, what the banks expect as a business owner. And what Janae was saying, just if you're going to be legitimate, let's talk about being legitimate and valid, right?
Yes.
Cut an invoice and pay an invoice, right? Do things the right way so that when banks look at you, when other businesses look at you, when potential customers or clients look at you, they say, now that person is running a business. They don't have a hobby that they're running out of their she shed or out of their garage. And so I thank you for what you do. You are my wife, praise the Lord. But I love seeing you help people to become more compliant and to understand what they need to do in order to run a business legitimately and not out of the back seat of the car.
Now, Robert, here's what you just did. First off, do y'all see why I love these two right here? I already loved her, but now I have to love Robert too. He talked about steaks, and when we start talking about here in a few minutes, the upcoming events for the remainder of GEW, we are actually postponing the event that we had scheduled tonight called Bon Appetit, understanding how to grow and scale a food service business. Mm-hmm. And if you are a chef and you come across this, a caterer, a restaurant, and you feel slightly attacked, it's okay. I still love y'all. But what I am finding, because again, that's the majority of my clients is in that food and beverage space, they don't want to understand and be all in the business. Because chefs are creatives. To me, working with a chef is no different than working with a musician or an artist or a dancer. They are creative by nature.
Right.
Creative people tend to not want to do administrative or analytical tasks. Mm-hmm. So it is very important that you all get people to be tools in your toolbox.
Absolutely.
so that
Absolutely.
you can have successful businesses. There is over $30 million that the Texas Restaurant Association is sitting on. And there are so many, and on this one, I'm going to be very specific. There are a lot of Black and Brown owned food and beverage businesses that are not going to qualify for that funding because they didn't do the things that they were supposed to be doing during the pandemic so that they can go and say, hey, we made it, we survived, can we get our part? But
Right.
there is money sitting for travel and tourism and food and beverage, but because we don't take the time to put the right people in position to help us grow and scale, we miss out.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So, we have to, as my grandfather would say, you got to call a spade a spade.
Right.
And if you want to truly be better, then you have to learn how to operate in that legitimate and compliant manner. And I'm really about to get Christina going because I'm going to start mentioning stuff I know bother her. You can't be Cash Apping your payments. Y'all, she's smiling, but I can tell you, them feet up under that desk dancing.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't accept Cash App.
We've got to come into the 21st century and we've got to do business the way business needs to be done. And we want to do that in a way that whoever is looking at our business, they see that we're legitimate. They see that we're serious about our business. They see that we're serious about our life. We can't open up a grocery store and charging $7 for a loaf of bread. We got 10 items on the shelf, right? And why not be in business for the long haul versus trying to make all the money you can make tomorrow and shut the business down? Let's create some generational wealth. Let's sell that bread and sell the stuff in the store at a reasonable rate that people can pay so they'll keep coming back to your store. And you run that store until you get tired of running it. You pass it on down to your son, to your daughter. Let them continue to run it. That's Janae's store on the corner, right? Been there for 55 years, 60 years. Why? Because Janae was legitimate about the way she ran her business. She got in contact with some people about things that she didn't understand, right? And those people were able to help her. And everybody you come in contact with, people think all the time, you're a financial advisor. You got to have a whole bunch of money in order to go see a financial advisor. Well, guess what? You need to start with a financial advisor when you don't have any money, so that they can help you understand how to go get money and how to grow your money, right? You need somebody to help you understand about business credit because you don't understand about personal credit. Okay. And so, we don't know what
business credit look like
about business credit. And so what's the benefit of business credit? You got your personal credit over here that has nothing to do with your business over there. And Janae pointed out earlier, if I come to your business and I slip and fall, if you don't have your business set up like it needs to be, not only will I take your whole business, but now I'm taking your house and all that kind of stuff too. We've got to be legitimate about the way we run things. And that's what I love about what Back Office Credit Solutions and Christina Sheets does. She helps businesses understand how to be legitimate, how to be compliant, and how to take care of the business. And that is what it's about. It's about the business.
It is about the business.
One thing, and Robert, thank you so much, honey. You're so kind. And I will say, there are, as Robert mentioned earlier, you know how to make a steak. You know your craft. You know your industry. That's what you're good at. But if you don't know where to go, you don't know what you don't know, right? I would there are so many different resources that are available, free resources. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention those. You have SCORE, you have the the SBDC. You've got all these different places that are willing to help and are funded through different larger organizations, some government, some financial institutions. And they're mentoring you for free. Now there are maybe some small fees, but when you get to a point where you need a little bit more, because remember, they're dealing with the masses. reach out to someone. Don't suffer because you're like, you know what, I'm going to YouTube and I'm going to YouTube University. I'm going to find out. Now, YouTube has a lot of information, granted,
Right.
but it's so much, it can be overwhelming and it can be paralyzing.
Right.
So,
and like you said, things change all the time, too.
And things are changing.
All the time.
Right.
All the time. And so I say that just to share with you, reach out to Robert. If you have questions about insurance, go to the expert who is working with a plethora of people, who's helped them, who can maybe give you the nuggets that you need, maybe share with you some information you've not heard before. No, if you need some help with where to go for different types of funding, not every bank has an appetite for every industry.
Right.
Find someone who knows what banks specialize. Some banks may specialize in restaurants. Some may specialize in construction. Don't go somewhere where they're already going to tell you, no, and now you've submitted a loan application, you've got an inquiry, and you've got to know, right? You've got to know, now where do I go? Right. And so the other lenders, you have if you're a fix and flipper, hard money is by far the quickest and easiest. But, if you're invoicing clients and you're waiting on invoices, there's invoice factoring and financing. If you accept credit cards, there's merchant cash advance. They're all different types. And I'm sharing those because those are the most widely known types, but there are others. Most people don't know there's purchase order and contract financing. If you get a big contract and you don't have the means to fulfill or get the equipment and the merchandise to fulfill that contract, there are lenders out there that will fund on that. If it's a reputable company, and that's where your DMV comes into place and all the business credit reports, because I can go in before I do business with you and I can see what your credit score is. I can see all these different types of scoring for you to see whether or not you're paying on time. How likely are you to maintain your business? And that's what other types of merchants are looking at. So call me. Let me help you understand where it is that you need to go or what you need to focus on. And we didn't even touch on, automating your business and but those financials are extremely important. That balance sheet, the snapshot of where you are, your income statement, or otherwise known as the profit and loss statement, know where you are, understand what those financial statements mean. Your cash flow statement, what's going through your company. You may make, $80,000 a year or $250,000 in a year, but if your COGS or your cost of goods is $199,000, you may look like you're making a lot of money, but a lot of that is flowing out. And so you need to understand what that looks like and where you should be based upon your industry, where your benchmark is, so that you can maintain a standard or even better at this point of your business, or either 5 years down the road, 10 years down. And so that's what we help. We do the financial consulting. We work in tandem. We'll look at everything from a global perspective and give you some recommendations on some key areas that you should look or allow us to help you, or what that looks like. But don't just suffer in silence. And it's like, oh my gosh, you'll find yourself being a gerbil and just consistently going around the circle, the gerbil wheel, and you won't get anywhere.
So Cassina, you were saying something. It's 2 points I just want you to verify for me.
Sure.
Earlier, Cassina kept saying, invest in your business, invest in your business, invest in your business. When someone tells you to invest in your business, hiring someone like back office credit solutions, that is not a spend, that is an investment. When you hire a business coach like myself, that's not an expense, that's an investment. Because then you can tell the bank, I'm working with a business coach and this is the curriculum that they have me going through. This is what we are working on within my business. We're working specifically on sales, and these are the things that they're helping us to understand and to grow. Guess what? When you join your chambers, that is not an expense, that is an investment. Because when you reach out to your local chamber and say, hey, I am struggling with this. If you are a part of one of these great chambers that's here in the DFW area, most of them, the ones that I have worked with, and again, I've dealt with a lot of them, 95% of them can say, hey, here's our SBA person. Here's our economic development corporation person. They'll be able to help you find that real estate that you're looking for. Or here's a business coach that has partnered with us. Go and take advantage of their services. Let them work with you. Those are not expenses. Those are investments.
Investments in your business. That's good.
Those are the types of investments. When you know, because we talked earlier about the commingling of funds, but when you say, hey, Mr. Robert, I have this insurance policy, or I want to meet with you to discuss insurance. Can we go to a local coffee shop? Yes, most definitely. Swipe your business card for that, because that is a business conversation. And that is an investment. Now, just because you want to go out with your clients and eat sushi and go out on, you know, party it up, that's not the type of investment we're talking about.
Yeah.
We're
you
talking
got to prove that to the IRS. You got to prove.
Yeah, you got to
3 days in a
prove.
row at Papados at $100 each day. You got to prove to the IRS that was a business expense. That was an investment in your business.
That was the investment in your business. And when you come to somebody like me, I'm gonna be like, no, that is not how you were supposed to spend that revenue that came in. No, that's not how that works.
You're part of their advisory team. I mean, you are a part that is a key component of your business. You know, when you have a nonprofit, you've got your board of directors. You are part of that, because you're steering them where and navigating them where they need to be. You're helping them with that roadmap to be successful.
So you have to understand that there are expenses that should be called expenses, but a lot of times, and words have power and words have meaning. Y'all hear me say that all the time. If you are calling an investment and an expense, when it comes down and you're looking at how can I tighten up my belt? How can we go a little lean? You will be amazed at how you've been calling what is really an investment an expense for so long. You will cut what should have maintained in your business. You'll cut it. But you don't want to go through the fact that your company uses 9 different automation systems and 7 of them do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You touched on something there. I personally went through my expenses, and I found that I was paying for 3 separate applications that overlapped. And I kept saying to myself, no, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. And it's just like, if you don't use something in 6 months, throw it out, but I'm the person, I know as soon as I throw it out, I'm going to need it. But I've canceled those. I'm scaling. I'm trying to get to where, so we all at different points of our business. It doesn't matter if you're just starting 5 years, there's always something that you can do to make the business better. Right. And and one thing I will say, Janae, just really quickly, if you have a partnership or if you're in business with other owners,
see, this is a whole nother talk.
You need to reach out to Robert Sheets so he can share and help you understand what that means. Everything is great when everything is great, right? So if you have other partners in your business, I'm not going to go into detail. Reach out to Robert, let him discuss that, or whoever your advisory team is, because you need to understand the consequences of the what ifs that you may not have thought about.
You go into business with your partner. You don't go into business with your partner's wife. And if something happens to your business partner, then you're left to do business with your business partner's wife. You need a contingency plan in place for that.
You know, it's so funny y'all mentioned that. I have a trio of gentlemen, and I tell people fences make great neighbors. Mm-hmm. And if anyone has ever watched Big Bang, I will tell anybody their roommate agreement that Sheldon was very, I don't know if you've ever seen that, but he kept referring back to, no, Leonard, it's in the roommate agreement. It's in the roommate agreement.
Yeah.
Literally, you ain't supposed to have girls over more than 2 nights in a row. It's in the roommate agreement. Yeah. And, you know, granted, Chuck Lorre played it up in a very funny part, but when you think about that in business, I tell my clients all the time when there's more than one and it's a partnership, I say, what is your partnership agreement? Oh, no, we have I say, yeah, you have your contract. I say, but in your contract, you're not going to outline, you know, certain things because you probably haven't thought about it. But just like Robert said, have you thought about if, you know, there's a divorce in your marriage? Have you all talked about vacation days and who's going to work? How are y'all going to do vacations? And because y'all are looking to open a restaurant. So are all of y'all agreeing that you're going to work Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, the birthday? Like, what is your partnership agreement? Mm-hmm. How are you all agreeing to resolve conflict? Mm-hmm. These are not things you put in a contract. The contract stipulates payments and, you know, things like that. It doesn't get down into the personal pieces.
Absolutely.
And that's what the roommate agreement on Big Bang was about. It was about the personal things.
Right.
Because believe it or not, I come to work with you personally. Mm-hmm. I'm not working with you from this analytical legal side. I work with you personally. Right. So what are your personal agreement? Yeah, that's a whole, okay, y'all, I'm sorry. Yeah. That's a whole other conversation.
That's good. And even going into business, making sure that you and your spouse are on the right page, because it's a whole nother story, whole nother program.
I will tell everybody this: when we kick back off Coupled Cups in 2023, y'all are not going to want to miss our early on editions, because they'll be on there. And we're going to be talking about marriage in business and what that looks like. So y'all make sure y'all, if y'all are not following us over on Facebook in the Coupled Cups group, make sure you apply to get in there, because Robert and Christina Sheets will be back and we're going to be talking about just that agreement, because what you all have seen for the past hour is a husband and wife high five each other, tag each other in, never step on each other's toes, respecting each other, supporting each other, and lifting each other up this entire conversation. So my smiles and my laughs were because that's what it's supposed to look like.
Right.
Not him. No. You don't know what you're talking about. Let me correct you. And I have sat where I'm like, really? Did he just? That was not nice. He could have waited later to tell him that. She could have waited later to tell him that he said that word wrong. She didn't have to. We all caught it. So, Robert and Christina, I am going to put this up real quick. So y'all, today was all about developing a financial growth strategy. We want you to plan for 2023 now. Like after Thanksgiving, y'all need to be scheduling appointments to sit down and say, hey, this is where I am, but this is where I want to go. This is where I want to be by this time next year. But if you wait to January 2nd, 2023 to start putting your finances in place, put your financials in place, and do all of those things, then guess what? You're late. You were late. And you're gonna be playing catch up for quite some time. So I want to thank you all both for being here with us today. Thank you so much for your time. This is how you can schedule your consultation with Christina. I'm going to leave this here for a moment. If you have your phones, grab that QR code, go ahead and schedule that 30 minutes. If you all have noticed, every consultant that has been on here, every service has told you, just give me 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. Because you will be amazed at what you can learn in 30 minutes. I told y'all yesterday, I get 2 episodes of Big Bang in, or an episode of Big Bang and Mike and Molly in 30 minutes on the HBO Max. I need to take my time and schedule my time with Christina because I need 30 minutes. Here is how you can schedule some time with Mr. Robert Sheets and understand if your family is covered. So you all know everything that comes out of the Entrepreneur's Corner, we gonna put God in it. The Bible says that we are supposed to leave an inheritance. That is
Our
biblical.
children's children, not just our children, but our
Our
children's children.
children's children. Say it again, Mr. Robert, for those in the rafters that didn't hear you.
Yes, Lord. Not just for the children, but for the children's children. We need to go generations deep in what we're doing for our family.
Generations deep. So if you are not prepared, because I'm gonna tell you all something, we all have a term. Our life has a term. We all will have to leave here at some point in time. It is what you leave behind that we want to make sure you're covered on. So make sure you schedule your consultation with Mr. Sheets. That is how you can get to him. That is his website, his QR code. Again, all of these things will be dropped into the chats after the broadcast has ended. And then we have some more events that are coming up for GEW. So on tomorrow, you all have to, so we have talked about money, and that's great because, we are all in business to make money, because that money then affords us that freedom that we were talking about yesterday. And with that freedom, we're called to do certain things. But in our business, it is not just about the money. It is also about the human capital that we touch, our employees, our vendors, our volunteers. It is the other piece. And believe it or not, it is the human capital that matters most. And for tomorrow, I'm so excited to see my people. Miss Danielle Wells, Mr. Will Baggett, and Miss Tiffany Plumer will be here at the DeSoto Chamber. We are starting right at 11:30 with networking. You don't want to miss it. You want to make sure you are here to hear all of the leadership knowledge that they will be bringing and dropping here at your feet tomorrow. This evening, we were supposed to have Bon Appetit. It has been postponed just due to lack of registration. These three individuals are three of the best that I know in this industry, and they are doing wonderful things. And I am very, very respectful of people's time. And what I was not going to do was ask them to drive some from as far as North Frisco down, and we didn't have the attendance that, one, this event deserves and that their time has warranted. And then two, I'm not going to take up space in someone's restaurant for less than 15 people. So we made the decision to postpone this event, and we will be doing it at the top of the year. I am pretty much begging for my food and beverage businesses. When you see this information drop, please register. Please come and hear from these individuals. Because we'll have a little bit more time, we're going to really ramp this up. It's going to be a very robust thing. We will actually have a CDFI, a truck builder, and some real estate companies here in the chamber that is going to talk and educate and help you get your food and beverage business to that next level. And it is not something that any of you are going to want to miss. Last but not least, we will be closing out GEW this week on Friday night here at the chamber with the Vision Board and Business Planning Networking in Mixer. As Robert said, you have to be able to see it. But it's one thing to create a vision board with all of these great things on it. But if you don't have a plan, a step 1, step 2, and step 3 on how you're going to achieve it, then you're just looking at a pretty picture on your wall. So that is what this night is about. There will be 5 different stations set up. In each one of these speakers, each one of us, we're going to talk about a different area in your life and what your vision for that is. But then we're going to give you action steps on how to accomplish what you were trying to accomplish. And that is the important part. It's not just gluing the pictures on the poster board. It's actually knowing, okay, I'm going to do this, which is then going to open up the door to do this, which will then allow me to do that. And that's how I'm going to get to what I envision for myself. And then last but not least, we are doing Identity and Destiny one more time this year. December 10th, we're going to have an intensive Identity and Destiny workshop day. If you have never taken the Purpose Questionnaire, please make sure you click that QR code. Go ahead, take the questionnaire. See if you are on purpose and on track with what God has destined, designed, and created you to do. And no matter what your score is, I will tell anybody there's always room for improvement because none of us are perfect. Sit with that for a minute. And then schedule your coffee cup connections with us. If you are a member in good standing of the DeSoto Chamber of Commerce, there is still time to get in at least one whiteboard session this year. So make sure you schedule your coffee cup connection with us today so that we can go ahead and get you scheduled in for your 90-minute strategy for growth. And that might look like we go through all of the pieces, and at the end of it, I say, and now you need to call. Now you need to contact. Now you need to add this person to your Rolodex. And I'm going to tell you now, if you come in about funding or money, it's going to be that beautiful lady right there. If you come in and you're like, hey, we're getting ready to grow and expand, but insurance, and it's going to be this handsome gentleman right here. So you all have already met your teed up people, but you have to get in, get your smart strategy session, your whiteboard session completed, so that we can close out 2022 and be fully prepared to walk into 2023. All right. So I cannot thank you two enough. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank you all. It has been great. The information has been, a plethora of information has been shared today. Any final thoughts before we end this stream?
Ms. Sheets, anything?
I thought you were going to say some words, sir.
I'm always going to say something. Always, yeah. Just kind of like what we've talked about, Janae. You know, everybody has a specialty. Everybody has something that they do, and that's what you do, and that's what you're good at. Well, there are other people, like you said earlier, that have specialties as well. And when we can share the knowledge and we can work together, it can help us to all be great. And so don't be afraid to reach out and get some help from somebody who specializes in just what you need. And so that's my last encouragement. You know, reach out to somebody that can help you get to where you need to go. You know what your strengths are and you know what your weaknesses are. So wherever you're weak, that's where you need to be accessing SCORE, or maybe you're a veteran. There's some veterans resources. Or maybe you want to reach out to somebody, to myself, to Casina, to somebody that specializes in what you need. Don't be afraid to do so.
Don't be afraid. Miss Casina?
No, he took the words right out of my mouth. I just appreciate the opportunity, Janae, to allow us to come and share. You're not on the island by yourself. You know, you've got resources, tap into them. And together we grow, right? At the end of the day, it's all going to go towards the GDP. I mean, that's what builds communities, builds families, and it just continues to go on and strengthen. So again, thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
We both appreciate it.
Thank you all so much. I am so glad that we were able to have Mr. and Mrs. Sheets here with us in the Entrepreneurs Corner this Wednesday. Thank you all so much again for tuning in. So whether you watched it live with us or you're going to catch it on the recap, thank you all so much for just being you. You are important, you matter, and I feel so blessed to be able to touch your life today. Until next time, you all have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. And I will see you all next time on the Entrepreneurs Corner.